You can Shani anytime. It doesn't matter day or night, but Shani, giving you light and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can't talk about, Shani. Get ready to start the show.
Yo, it's Shani, and you know we're gonna talk ordinary people and extraordinary God. Check the reference in Ephesians 5. We walking in the light and we're living in love. You know we're Shani, we gon' keep it intact, cause every Monday got it coming. Yeah, we coming right back. So act like you know we get it on and popping at the Shani Show.
You can talk to Shani anytime. It doesn't matter day or night, Shani. We're giving you life and love. We're coming on without a doubt. There's nothing you can talk about with Shani.
Welcome to another episode of the Sharing with Shani Show. I am your host, Shani McElwain. The Sharing with Shani Show highlights ordinary people working for an extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. Check the reference in Ephesians. Song is played by a really awesome producer, Ben Abs, did that opening for us. So we want to give him the shout out with his management team, his production team that I totally forgot the name of it. So, but find him on Facebook and Instagram, Ben Abs. Anyway, Mika Fresh is in the building, the Wellness Whisperer. Special guest, Ni'Jah Richardson. So she's coming on shortly. But Mika, we have how are you tonight first, before I go right into what is the Wellness Whisperer? Because I'm all excited. How are you?
I do the same thing. That's how I text. It's like no pleasantries, no
right.
And then I come back and I'll be like, I promise I'm not really rude.
Right. I'm just trying to get to the point. Right.
I'm doing all right. It's been interesting day, but I'm okay.
All right, good.
How are you?
Like I said before we went live, I don't want to bring the spirit down on the show, but just thinking about the past 11 years, today's the day we lost Alexia, which is Alicia's twin, but giving God all the glory of how things I look back. So one of the good things about Facebook, I would say, is the memory feature. Mm-hmm. And so you can look back on the progression of where you were, right? Mm-hmm. And so I look back like 10 years ago, was not in a good place. But like 5 years ago, apparently June 29th, 5 years ago, I was having a good time, right? And so it's just like, and then sometimes I don't even remember what that subliminal message was that I posted, mm-hmm. but it was a day of reflection, and so I'm grateful for that. So
that's good.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue. I don't know if you remember, but last week I was saying that I feel like this could be a series. There's a lot to open up. So last week the whisper was wellness is more than yoga and green smoothies. Mm-hmm. And you asked me what wellness is, right? Right. And I gave a couple of examples. So basically it is a state of mind, which is really important to understand. So it's not just one thing, and it is encompassing, it encompasses, your mind, body, and your spirit. And I think some people use spirit and soul interchangeably, but maybe for me, it's 4 separate things. I don't know, but it's all of those things, right? It's all of those things, because when one is out of balance, usually something else is affected negatively. So if your mind is not right, odds are your body is not right, especially the connection between our gut and our brain. And so I think that it is, and then if those two things are not well, then something just kind of doesn't sit right in our spirit. So wellness is, being able to address all of those whether you choose to do it individually or all together at one time. You know, it's up to you, but I really would highly encourage everybody to address those areas because they're super important, especially right now.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Absolutely. So how do we do that? Like, what would be the first step?
You know, I feel like it's interesting. I usually don't struggle with what to say and what not to say, but I'm gonna say it. I do feel like the wellness space is still very whitewashed, and there is a, you know, cultural insensitivity. And so when we think about wellness, you know, the reason I said it's not just yoga and green smoothies is because that's what you see, you know. And so the cultural insensitivity is because people are not aware of their privilege and how they present that privilege. And so with, first of all, you know, beyond yoga in itself can really highlight some insecurities, if I may. We have, you know, body shaming. We have people that feel like they have to be super flexible just to even begin yoga, which is the exact opposite, right? Yoga will help you gain the flexibility. But the misrepresentation in the wellness world is extremely important, especially for Black women. And I don't know if you or any of the followers and listeners have seen this floating around where it says, please stop referring to Black women as strong, like it's a compliment. Have you seen that, Shani?
I have not.
So I'm gonna go find it real quick. Okay. And it deserves being addressed because there's so much truth here. I don't know who posted it first, but it was reposted. So Lahara, Breaker of Comb, so at Bree Hall Official is where I saw it on Instagram. And I think on Twitter as well. But she says, please stop calling Black women strong as a compliment. Strong is why our mortality rate in medicine is high. Strong is why our pain is not taken seriously. Strong is why there is less empathy for us. Strong is why we're put last in every movement because we can handle it.
Oh, and I need, like...
Right. When I read that, I think I definitely had a moment. This is a lot. So, and I know we have a special guest, so I'm going to wrap this up. I think it was last year, 2020, 2019, 2018. Okay. If it wasn't 2019, it was definitely 2018. I remember reaching out to a family member, just expressing how heavy I was feeling, right? Mm-hmm. This is something I don't think I've ever done, okay? Just because of the exact response that I got. It's not encouraging. I choose very carefully who I open up to. You know, I do feel like I am always transparent. However, it's still filtered, if that makes sense.
Right.
I can say, you know, you asked, how are you doing? So before we went live, my answer to you was, I'm doing okay. It's one of those, you know, a therapist needs a therapist type of day.
Right.
And so for me, that's transparent, but I didn't go into detail. Right. And not because I don't trust you. That was because we didn't have enough time.
Right.
But if it was with, just a random stranger or someone that I did not trust, that would be, the answer that I would give. But I shared with the family member that it was, one of those times where I just felt things, coming from every angle. Just every time I turned around, it was uppercuts and jabs and cross punches and just everything. It was like, as soon as I catch my breath, it's time to go back under the water again. And it was that way for a strong 6 months. And I would say when I reached out, it was probably, I don't know, somewhere at the end of the 4th month going into the 5th month of it, right? And I thought that it was passing. Well, I should say, I hoped that it was passing, but I had like the strong feeling that the season wasn't over yet. And so, this person, their response was one of those like, atta girl, put your big girl panties on and deal with it. And I remember posting what my sister said was very cryptic messages, but I said, people check on your strong friends. The strong people get overlooked. Strong people are never I try to stay away from never, but basically along the lines of, people forget that strong people have feelings. When you think about a lion in the jungle, or a hyena even, right? Because in my opinion, they're like second. But when you think about these strong animals, the lion is the king of the jungle. You don't think about any sensitivities that lion may have, And so we forget that the lion is still a cat, essentially, right? They're still sensitive. You step on their paws and they will still yelp, right? It still hurts, it's still a problem. So with that, that is a major part of wellness. The mind part, just making sure that your mental health is being paid attention to. We all have room for improvement. I feel like we are all working towards just overall healthiness. And so it's important for me to highlight this, because in my program, we were encouraged to, actually, it was a requirement that we had individual counseling ourselves before we graduated. 3 sessions were required, but not many of my professors encouraged, to continue. Now, my clinical supervisor she'll check in with me like, hey, have you found a counselor? I encourage you to get counseling while you're being a counselor, because we absorb a lot, right? And so it's like, even in the mental health field, it's still overlooked for the helpers to get help. It's still a message that is not really put out there. People aren't yelling it. So there's still a lot of stigma attached to it. There's still a lot of shame and guilt, and then I also think that there is still a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of, I don't know what it means to say, oh, check on my mental health, so maybe it's a big word, maybe it's not. Maybe I assume that people understand because I am a psychotherapist, but mental health is just as important, as your physical health. So if you had chest pains, that occurred once and then went away, you're going to pay attention to it. You're probably not going to go to the doctor. You're going to be like, oh, it was a one-time thing. Maybe it was some gas. Maybe I was doing a little too much. But it's on your radar, and you know what your options are. You can go to urgent care, the ER, or call your primary care physician. But when you're having these sad thoughts, when you're having feelings of guilt and shame, and when you're taking on stress and you feel like nobody is there to support you, you can't express, safely, and it's not received well, what you are going through. A lot of people don't know what their options are. And this is a part of mental health. There are some people that feel like don't share this with me. I know we're friends. There's only so much that I can offer you. You should see a therapist. And so then we feel bad. We feel like there's some bad thing that I'm feeling and that I did to reach out to my friend that they suggested that I see a therapist. And so I think for the rest of the month that I'm just kind of going to be on my soapbox about wellness. So this will be an extended series because it is super important. It is really, really important.
And I think, and it definitely ties into what, we're going to be talking about with Ni'Jah. You're staying on, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then just in general of always having to, I had to choose my words carefully as well, but always having to be like, when do we have time to even lament? When do we have time to even grieve? When is it our time to do all these things? Because we show up in every movement, right? In every movement. First one, right? And then, this could be a part two too, Mika, because then I sit there and I think about all the times then we're thrown under the bus by, right? And then we are, and then we have to put on a straight face. I remember right after George Floyd died and just being in this space. So what really triggered for me is the fact that, because my mother's not here, right? He called for his mother, right? And I have been in pain. My mother passed away in 2006, and I have called for her, right? So that I connected with that with that pain and that anguish, and then to go and then to sit in a Zoom meeting or whatever, and whether it's if I'm the only Black person on the Zoom or if I'm like one of two, but have to be strong. Because now I have to go to work, right?
Yep.
And so how do you practice self-care? Which is one of the reasons why we have this segment on the show, because you can't do all the stuff that we be trying to tell people to do, right? And then not have wellness, right? Because we want everybody to be whole. It's like this, it is a wholeness. You want to serve your family, serve community, serve God, but then also take time to serve yourself. That is important, and it is not selfish. It's not.
No, it is not. And that's also, the women, we have this invisible load. We really do. Especially if you're a mom, especially if you're a spouse and a mom, I get on some of the men in my life, I'm like, don't be like these white people that's not aware of their privilege. Like, you have privilege too as a man. Just because you're a Black man don't mean you don't have privilege in certain areas, because you do. You really do. And it's important that you recognize that, especially in your household. And I think of a lot of spouses tapped into that and explored what their privileges, even within their marriage, the divorce rate, at least for Black families, would decrease because I mean,
listen,
it's a thing.
It's a real thing. We ain't gonna talk about that today, but yes.
So I'm just saying, the invisible load is heavy, and we usually carry it with no qualms. It's like, that's what I signed up for. I knew that was my role. I'm good, but we're good until we're not good. And so practicing wellness, I think for the very first thing is just having that awareness and not surrendering, just having the awareness.
It's not a bad word.
It's this, I'm still choosing my words because I need to make sure I can back up what I'm saying clearly. Okay. So just being aware that you are not all right. That's the first thing. Okay. And so when we have challenges under, I'm grateful for the people that normalize things for me. I have my favorite cousin. I don't know if she's listening. I have two of them. I won't say their names because I didn't ask for permission, but they know exactly who they are. One of them, we celebrated her 40th birthday out of the country last year, and I'm sorry, 2018. And every now and then I will call her, and I call her because she exudes confidence, first of all, but she is she's an encourager, she's a supporter, but she'll help get me straight, right? So it's like, it's one of those things where she's a really good listener, and she offers, whatever encouragement and support that she has. But then it's a quick reminder, like, don't stay there. So it's like, I have permission to be aware and to sit in my feelings, but then it's like, hey, we keep pushing, right? We don't have a give up spirit. And I'm proud of that. I don't have a give up spirit. And so there's like that teeter totter of, when you acknowledge, that's the word, acknowledge, not surrender. I want to say acknowledge. When you acknowledge, those heavy feelings, is totally okay. It is actually like very necessary to acknowledge those feelings that it's hard, this is challenging, this is difficult. Man, what do I need to do to get through this particular whatever, right? That is okay to do that, to check in, to take inventory, like all these things that I've been saying since 2016, since we started. If we don't acknowledge them and we just keep sweeping them under the table, serious dis-ease will take effect. You won't be able to escape it. Okay. Right. So we'll give one tip today and we'll continue the next week. One tip: how do you take care of your wellness? Right? How do you practice mental health wellness? Acknowledgement of the things that do not feel right. And I said a couple of weeks ago, our bodies are communicating with us, and we do not usually understand the language. So paying attention, being quiet and being still, and acknowledging what is going on. Right. Just acknowledge it. You don't even have to do much after that. But even in that acknowledgement, like, your intuition and your body will tell you where to go next and what to do next. And it is important. That is the start. Acknowledge what's happening in your body.
Awesome. Mika, I know you're staying on, but where can people connect with you on these social media streets?
Yes, Meet Mika Fresh, MEETMIKA Fresh. I also have B Period Wellness, which is a little more in tune with the mental health wellness side, offering, inspirational quotes, encouragement, suggestions. People ask me questions, which is great. I have my Monday mantra where that's where I want to encourage people to, just keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
Gotcha. All right. Gotcha. So let me bring on our special guest tonight. Ni'Jah Richardson received her bachelor's degree in economics from Delaware State University and went on and is pursuing a law degree at the University of Baltimore Law School. Ni'Jah is passionate about serving the Lord and serving his people, and she plans to use her legal education to pursue this purpose. Now in her third year of law school, it's been 3 years, Ni'Jah serves as the Black Law Student Association president, where she is using her platform to fight for social change at the University of Baltimore School of Law. Upon graduation, she hopes to become a public defender in Baltimore City. Welcome to the show tonight, Ni'Jah.
Thank you, Miss Shani. Thank you for having me.
Don't call me Miss Shani. Don't call me Miss Shani. Just call me Shani. But anyway, yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words.
So I don't know about me. I'm a really passionate person. I'm especially passionate about Black people. I'm passionate about the law, obviously, and something fun about me. I really like to spend time with my family. They inspire me. So that's me.
And how did you get involved in, I guess, like community activism? Like, what was the first? What triggered this passion?
I would definitely say like my parents, first of all, especially my dad. And then like when I was in college, I think in 2015, after the murder of Freddie Gray, was like the first time I like helped organize a protest and like went out and protested in Dover, Delaware. In little tiny Dover, Delaware, it was like 30 of us, out there protesting. And then ever since then, I've just been going to like protests, that year, and then maybe afterwards for a little bit, but I kind of fell off of that. And so I just recently started back up this year because I think protesting is crucial in times like this. So, I kind of fell off for a little while, but now I'm back.
So one of the reasons why I asked you onto the show was because you had posted a letter that you wrote to your school about their silence, about their we could call it complicit, we could call it they didn't realize that they were silent, but about their silence to the whole Black Lives Matter campaign and this recent effects of the death of George Floyd and what has prompted since then. And it prompted me to say, there are people like in my small circle, that are on the front lines, and they are young and they are ready for change. And so so that's really how you got here. Because I saw that post, very well written letter. I was like, oh yes, because I like smart people, especially smart Black people. And so so that's why I invited you on here. And so can you just what was the driving force? Like what prompted that letter? And I know other people were authors of it, but why was that important for you guys to call out the school that is preparing you for law?
It was important to me because there's a lot of background to this. I'm just going to give you a short history of what's been going on. So my first year, my 1.0 year, there was an incident where, hold on, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There was an incident where, a student had said racial slurs both in class as well as, not in class, on campus, as well as online on Twitter. And so from there, there was this thing where like, it was kind of ignored. Nobody, even I wrote a letter then too, explaining how I felt, how it made me feel to be, I felt like my life was threatened by having to be in class with someone who thought of me as the racial slur she was using. And so from there, nothing really happened from that. And so come now, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and many other Black people who have been killed this year, the years before, something kind of came to a head. And so this year, Black law students at my school, we decided that we were going to hold a protest on, I think, Wednesday, June 17th, I believe. And from there, we wanted to make sure that our protest had actual action behind it. So, of course, we took to the streets, we protested in the streets, we chanted, but we made sure to pass out flyers asking people to sign our petitions. We had 2 petitions going around, one for, 6 demands that will help Black students have a better educational experience at UB Law, and then another petition to remove the Baltimore Police Department from the University of Baltimore campus. And so from there, 2 days later was Juneteenth on Friday. And so the Student Bar Association at my school, which is kind of like an SGA for undergrad, but it's only within the law school. And so SBA posted a post about Juneteenth, which celebrates the freedom of Black people. and but refused to share our petitions that we wrote from the protest. They refused to attend or promote the protest, and then promote our petitions. And so the way I felt was, along with my co-authors of the letter, we felt like, you can't insert yourself into something and not go all the way. Either you support Black liberation all the way or not at all. So where you cannot promote a letter that, not a letter, but a petition that allows Black students to have, an equal experience at UB Law, a comfortable experience where you're not facing racism every day in the classroom, although it may be, something that people are thinking about in their mind, not openly experiencing racism in the classroom. It seems to me that you shouldn't be celebrating Juneteenth if you can't celebrate all Black people. So that's kind of where that came from.
Awesome. And so what would you tell people, or youth or young adults, your age or younger, if they wanted to start in, doing something into community organizing or activism, like what would be your first 3 steps that they would need to do?
I would say first, you need to be passionate about what you believe in. No matter what, no matter who's behind you, who's not, be passionate. You know that you believe that Black lives matter, and that's all that matters. Number one. Number two, I would say support everybody else in their movements as well. If you know that this is what you believe, and so before I even started my own protesting or our own protesting, you support those that have done it before you. You see what they've done. You go to protest. You support, donate, do whatever you can to become a part of, what you believe in. And then lastly, I would say, if you really want to organize, you need to get like-minded people behind you, people who are going to believe in you and you believe in them, and you guys are going to go all the way until you reach your goal. You don't need people behind you who, kind of support you, kind of don't. You have to find those people who believe in the same things that you do and are willing to push the envelope all the way until we get to where we want to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're speaking live with Ni'Jah Richardson. If you have comments or a question, you can put it in the comment section, and hopefully I can see it, because sometimes I can't, and I'm just going to be perfectly honest. But so if you have a question or comment, you want to chime in, you can. Is Mika still on the line? Does you have a question? I'm not sure if she has a question, but we'll just keep going until I get a question or a comment. And so I just love this energy. Every time I see you on Instagram and like you are calling out people, what can we do? Like, how can people who, what would be their support? Like, how could people who don't want to protest or are scared or maybe too old or what have you, how can they support people that are on the front lines? What would be the number one?
I think that's a really good question, because my grandma, she asked me the same thing. She's older, and it's hard with COVID right now. You don't want to get out there and risk your health, especially older people, which I really understand. Even younger people who don't want to put themselves at risk to catching coronavirus. And so I would say mostly sign the petitions, especially my petitions, because we need that. We need people. If you can't get on the front lines, petition, sign the petitions, donate to organizations that are trying to make changes, and donate to people who are on the front lines, who are willing to put themselves in that position to fight for your rights. Bail funds, donating to those, as well as a couple protests I've been to, I've seen people who are like on the side of the road or in their cars who just pass out water, pass out snacks and things like that. And so that way you're minimizing the contact you're having with people. And also there's like some protests that are kind of just like standstill protests, where you're not really walking a lot. And I know some people, don't really want to walk 10 miles to protest, things like that. There's some protests where there's just like, minimal movement. And I think that just finding your niche, like finding where you fit in this, but if you don't feel like you fit in the streets, then you fit maybe in the petitions, in donations, things like that. So always finding an alternative to be able to support the people who are putting themselves out there on that front line.
Right. And it's funny that you mentioned COVID, we're still in a pandemic. but we also are still in a war for liberation, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people, especially, probably maybe there's some Black people out there, but I know there's a lot of white people out there too that just don't understand how you could do both, right? And just even in talking with people, the Gen Zs in my own house, like it's the lesser of two evils, right? It's like I'm either gonna die from COVID or I'm gonna die from the hands of the police, which it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And so you're out there, but you also recognize that there's COVID. So how did you make that decision that protesting was more important at this point?
To be honest with you, like, for me, it was just more important. That's just where it was for me. It was just like, COVID, I know it's real. I know it's something that is killing a lot of people, and I don't want to minimize it. But I just think my Black life, the life of thousands, millions of Black people around me, they matter. And I just thought that was more important to me than, I don't want to say my own health, but like just putting myself out there to let people know, I'm here, I'm doing what I can to fight against this. And like, I go out there, I make sure I have my mask on every time, I keep my distance as much as I can, and still fight the good fight.
I want to go back to something that you said earlier about removing Baltimore police from the campus. Why is that an action item on your demands?
So the University of Baltimore right now has a contract with the Baltimore Police Department, where the Baltimore Police basically have their police academy on our campus. And so that contract allows them to use our facilities throughout the year, as well as our gym from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day. And most importantly, though, BPD has a culture of violence against Black people. The Department of Justice put out a report in 2016 basically saying that BPD's enforcement techniques were targeted at Black people. And so on a campus where almost 50% of the students are Black, to me, it seems almost cruel to have a police department on campus that specifically targets a large population of the students that attend that university. And so I think that their presence there is not one that is necessary for students to have a conducive and comfortable environment to learn.
Okay, got you. It looks like we had a question, but I lost it. I don't know why people are texting me with questions. That's not what I said. I said, put the question in the comments section.
Right.
Okay, so we're live. That's what happens when you're live, and and I'm the producer of the show as well. So I'm just so proud of you. I am, I have seen you as just when you were on your way to France and going your 8th grade trip, and now you're like in your 3rd year of law school. Law school is only 3 years, right? So do you graduate next year? Okay.
I graduate in May. In May. Yeah, next May. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so your goal is to become a public defender. That's okay. Yes. And so and why that type of law? Why is criminal? Why?
Okay. So I knew when I came to law school, like I knew that I wanted to do like a public interest type thing. I want to serve the people. And so I started out my 1st and 2nd year doing things that were kind of civil focused, like, helping people who maybe can't afford an attorney and helping them in civil matters. But now I'm more focused on the criminal side of things because I feel like everybody deserves an equal access to justice. No matter how much money you make, what color you are, anything standing in your way, I don't believe that people should be denied the right to, the access to justice just because of the amount of money they make. And I think that something that really pushed me in this direction was Bryan Stevenson's Just Mercy. I read that last summer and my mind was completely made up. Like, you know, like you said, you know, people are more than the worst thing they've ever done in their life. And I think that, you know, when we look at people, we have to see them as human beings and not just as somebody who may be a thief or, you know, a robber, things like that. You know, you can't look at people just for the worst thing that they've ever done in their life. Those people still deserve an opportunity to receive justice.
Yeah.
And they deserve to be treated like human beings.
Absolutely. I was watching the BET Awards last night, and I come from, you know, the era of hip hop when hip hop was born, still love rap music. And the opening remake to Fight the Power, when Rhapsody said that George Floyd died over a $20 bill, which is 2,000 pennies. And when you put that into perspective, like 2,000 pennies, and we look at pennies, like no one ever, my kids, my younger two, don't even like the pennies in the bottom of my purse. They want the silver, right? And I'm looking at that and thinking 2,000 pennies over a life. I think about when people want to sit there and talk about burning down buildings, when the riot is the language of the unheard, right? And I think about, so a building is more important than somebody's life. That's that. Right. We're gonna sit there and have this argument. Right. And so I commend you for going into public defense. I mean, I just told Donna that she needed to tweet that and tag you. Everyone deserves an equal access to justice is just powerful. Like that's just powerful. I don't know. That's just I have no words. I'm gonna bring Tamika back on. I think she's still on. You want to come back on, Mika? You want to talk? You have something to say? I'm not gonna call her out.
I'm here.
That she was. I'm not gonna tell people what you were doing, but
I was eating. It's okay. You gotta eat.
Right.
It's part of the wellness.
Right. It's part of the wellness. But yeah, I just wanted to bring you in on the conversation because I thought we were going to have a panel, and you know, people's schedules wouldn't allow that. But I did, you know, I didn't want to cancel this because we didn't have. I'm like, I could do the show with Ni'Jah, but I'm just so excited because Ni'Jah, I don't even think you're like 20. You're not even 25, right?
I'm 23.
See. This is our future. This is the future.
Yes.
And I'm just excited. I'm excited. So let's switch gears for a second because 23-year-olds, I think is important. So there was this thing going on TikTok. I don't know if you guys know this, but it was basically to buy tickets for the rally that was being held in Tulsa, right? And so other people couldn't get tickets, right? So my 11-year-old bought tickets.
Okay.
Because she saw it on TikTok, right? She said so, and the reason why I think it's funny is because she's 11, right? But so I'm switching gears. That was my segue to talk about you know, we're doing all this now, and I want to press the sense of urgency that November is around the corner.
Yes.
And a lot of times, you know, we see a lot of young people expressing their, you know, their First Amendment right and doing all of this, but we don't see the same sense of urgency when it comes to elections. So I wanted to get your take on how you feel about voting, and is that just as important as protest, and where do you see that, Ni'Jah, in terms of our civic duties?
So I want to first start by saying, you know, voting is important. You know, our ancestors fought for us to have the right to vote, but I also want to put out the message that Black people don't only control what happens in the White Office. And I think that a lot of times when people, you know, harp on Black people like, oh, you need to vote, you need to vote, you need to vote. And I know this is going to upset some people, it may, but, you know, our ancestors fought for us to have the right to vote, not just for us to like have to vote. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that voting is very important, especially in your local elections. but I just don't like the idea of everybody pressing on Black people so much that it makes it kind of seem like we're the only people who, you know, who maybe don't vote or who control the outcome of what happens in the White House. You know what I mean? And so that goes into wellness, I think, too, because, you know, you put so much pressure on Black people to that we are the change agents of everything that's happening. And I just don't think that that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I have been a proponent of local elections for years, right? I think it's very important that you know who is on, you know, who your judges are, who your county officials are. I think it's more important who you elect as your, you know, as your district attorneys. Those are all elected positions that I think we take for granted of. Who's on your school board? Right. We want to sit there and talk about education and how whitewashed. Earlier, Mika, you were talking about how whitewashed wellness is. Well, Rayana's 11th grade social studies book called us immigrants.
Okay.
So who is choosing? Who's choosing textbooks?
Yeah.
Right? Those people are elected into a position of power to decide what our kids are learning. And so so when I talk about voting, I'm always talking about, you know, a local. And I know we have a national, you know, there is a national election this year too, but it's so important that we pay closer attention to, because those are the things that you're going to see immediate change in. That local election. I'm excited. Ni'Jah, can you tell people where they can follow you if they wanted to follow you, if they wanted to get on a petition, if they wanted to donate to anything that you're doing, because people are very generous right now?
I don't know if we're really collecting donations, but we may be in the future, not right now. But y'all can follow me on Instagram at JahLikeNij, JIHLIKENIJ on Instagram, and the links to both of the petitions are in my bio. As well, you can follow me on Twitter at NijSeason, NIJSZN, and I'm on Facebook, but I don't get on here often. So if you really want to reach me, you can get on Instagram.
Yeah, Gen Zs aren't on Facebook. I know. Even Mika was like, "You don't want to go Instagram Live?" I was like, "Mika, I don't have 5,000 followers on IG. I got 5,000 followers on Facebook. Can we start on Facebook? I'm old, right?" Like, she's like, "You don't want to go on YouTube?" I said, "We could put the recording up on YouTube." This has been great. I appreciate you, Ni'Jah. Beautiful soul, beautiful spirit. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Mika,
Ni'Jah,
thank you for having me.
I have a question.
Yes.
For Ni'Jah, I would like to know, what are some ways that you keep yourself well, right? What are some ways that you check in with your wellness while you go through the experiences that you have?
That's a good question. Really for me, I just try to take time to myself every day, honestly. You know, I try to exercise most days. I recently started biking.
Okay.
I just got a bike. So when I say recently, I mean yesterday.
Okay.
And I found that to be like a really like, you know, not even just like exercise, but like a really like beautiful experience for me, you know, riding in the wind, you know, just myself with my thoughts and my music and, you know, having a good time. I'm also a really creative person. So to keep my mental right, I like to do a lot of DIYs, you know, artistic, you know, painting and stuff, things like that. And so, but I really make sure I take that time every day, whether it be like I get off work like 5:30, I, you know, maybe sit down, watch TV, you know, read a book. I like to read. Oh, also, if you guys want to follow me on my book page, at Bubs and Books, BUBZNBOOKS. I read a lot. And so that's really what I do to keep myself, you know, Same.
Nice.
I know it can be difficult sometimes, especially when you're a Black woman out here. You know, you don't oftentimes get the same amount of respect as a Black man. And you're sometimes thought to be, you know, you thrown under the bus. People gaslight you, mansplain you, all these different things. I've been gaslighted so many. If y'all knew how many times I've been gaslighted in the past month, I mean, I couldn't even count them on my hands. And so, huh?
No, I just wanted to say, let me tell you about mansplaining. So a man tried to mansplain the whole purpose of the Oprah Winfrey Legends Ball through the eyes, y'all, of a white guy. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And then, look, when this happened, I had these earrings on, right? And I was like, you really damn? Are you serious? I'm gonna just do that there. Ni'Jah, can you put the book page? Can you drop it in the chat so Donna can pick it up?
Sure.
For you instead of just repeating it again. So you could just either. Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Did I do it privately or do I?
That's fine. I can send it to her. That's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That was a good question, Mika. Like, how do you practice self-care? That's a good one.
I had a lot of thoughts. You know, she is a Black woman practicing law in Baltimore, and just right. And when she said the police the police academy, you know, contract to use their campus, so many other thoughts just entered my mind. And I'm very empathic, you know, I'm an empath, so immediately I had kind of some heavy feelings for her and others that look like her on her campus, because I can only imagine what type of apprehension and angst is present on a college campus and not just a college campus, but, you know, an advanced degree college campus, right? She's a law student. Sometimes, you know, we feel like we've graduated to certain levels, and there's nothing like stereotypes from a police force, you know, that's on your campus to show you, nope, not so much. Yeah. So I wanted to check in. I also wanted her followers and people aspiring to be like her to understand the importance, because she's really calm right now, and she's well, right? Like she's communicating well. So in my head, I'm like, she's got something going right in that area. Right. So I just wanted to use that moment to highlight and encourage other people. 23, third-year law student is
amazing.
Black girl magic. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I need like some dust. Like I don't know.
I want like some confetti. I'm like really excited right now. Like, and this is why, and this is exactly why I do this show, right? Yeah. Highlight the ordinary people, right?
Yes.
I it's just amazing. Like there are gems among us, just waiting to like, you know, just waiting, right? And then and you know, I'm excited right now.
So am I.
I am. This feels good. I think I'm you know, and I'm creative too, because you know, Ni'Jah and I are both Libras, so like I don't do no biking though. I don't do that. But I do like to read books, and I do like to write, and I'm so excited because yesterday I came up with this great idea. Talk to you offline, but Ni'Jah's going to be a part of that too, because I can't really say it out because people take your ideas.
They do,
don't they? They?
So I'm not going to announce it here, but it's coming. It's coming. So thank you guys so much for coming. Mika, thank you for sticking around. I know Haley, this is you. Thank you, Donna, for being in the background. Ni'Jah, love you. Your parents, your grandparents, everybody's doing an awesome job just lifting you up and you becoming the woman that you are. And it's so funny because when I posted your picture, then your mom commented on the post, "Is that Ni'Jah?" I was like, the one in the and I think it's so funny.
Like she didn't recognize me.
I think it's so funny that, you know, with your children, one of the things I used to hate when I'm about to go, I know we're about to wrap up, but I used to hate when I became an adult and people would still go through my mother for things. Right? And
I'm
like,
still living that.
I don't even live with you, right? They would invite me to events through my mom, and, call my mother's house. Like, I got a whole address. I'm paying my own rent, and they still would be talking to my mother. And then I even started having children. They still calling my mother, and I'm like, Ni'Jah's a whole woman. I'm emailing Ni'Jah. I have her email address. So I thought it was funny that she didn't even know that she was coming on the show, like, until I posted it. It was cute. But anyway, thank you so much. I love you. Appreciate you. Thank you all so much. This is the Sharing with Shani Show, highlighted ordinary people working for extraordinary God, sharing love, light, and life. We air every Monday night on Facebook Live. If you want to come share your story, please give us a holler, ShaniMcAway.com. Mika, we got about 2 more shows before we take a summer break.
Okay. I'm ready for one.
Yeah. And we can talk offline if you want to do a show next Monday. It ain't a holiday for me. Just telling you. So, whatever you want to do. Thank you. God bless you. And